Our next question is a science question. What is the collective name of animals and plants that live on the lake bottom? Sam, Carrie?
Yeah, so those would be called benthos organisms. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about like what that name means and sort of why we even care about the organisms that live on the bottom of a lake as opposed to the organisms that live in the rest of the lake. So let's see. So benthos organisms live in what's called the benthic zone of a lake. And actually you can have a benthic zone of an ocean as well. The benthic zone is just the deepest part of the lake. And it's often an area, or it is an area, that's not going to be receiving much, if any, light from the sun. So if we could jump to my screen really quick. I'm just going to show a quick diagram that'll sort of give us a sense. So we can sort of divide a body of water like a lake up into a couple different zones. So the first thing we could do is we could think about the area that's going to receive light versus the area that will not receive light. Because the light from the sun will only reach to a certain depth in the lake. So that would be called, the photic zone would be the area where the light reaches. And then the aphotic zone, sometimes called the profundal zone, would be an area where light does not reach. You have the littoral zone, which is the area along the lake shore. And then you have the limnetic zone, which is just the area in the center of the lake, but in the photic zone. And then the benthic zone, getting back to sort of the question that we were asked, the benthic zone covers the whole bottom of the lake, and all of the organisms that live there are called benthos organisms. If you had benthos plants, you would call them phytobenthos. If you had benthos animals, you would call them zoobenthos, kind of like phytoplankton and zooplankton, if you're familiar with those terms. And I was just going to draw sort of a corollary to explain why we even care to an idea that maybe people have heard more commonly, which is that we think about forests and the canopies of forests as being divided into different zones. And the benefit of doing this for a canopy or for a lake is ultimately just to talk about the idea that there are different organisms that benefit from those different zones. You're only going to get certain species of fish, of plants living on the lake shore. You're only going to get certain species of fish and plants living on the lake bottom. And between two lakes, even if two lakes have very different sets of plant and animal species, there would still be some commonalities between the animals that live in the benthic zone of one lake versus another, because they both have to deal with similar situations, namely that they live on the bottom of the lake and they don't get much light. And the same deal with canopy layers in a forest, and you're going to have different types of birds and insects that live in the uppermost canopy versus those that live in the understory or the forest floor. And I just thought I'd also show this picture. This is an image of zoobenthos or benthic animals. And this I'm not even sure where this is from. It doesn't really matter. The thing that we can see with them is that they're all fairly simple looking, kind of like a worm. Oh, I gotta wrap this up. Anyway, they're translucent because they get no light on the lake bottom. Things on the lake bottom, benthos. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm still trying to